I am recording as well. Well, why the fuck did you say something?
Just had to make sure my mic was checked because Britt was playing fucking Halo again. Always playing fucking Halo, fucking with my shit.
Yeah, she's probably cracked at it now, though.
She is fucking cracked. She gets like 20 every game.
God damn.
She just goes federal on that.
You gotta get her ready, man. She's got less than a month now to do the podcast episode with Fran.
Oh my god, I know. That'll be funny.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome to the Pitch Your Pick podcast, the podcast where we dive deep into the sports books, find our favorite plays, and pitch them to each other to find the best bets every day. I'm Joe. This is the idiot over here, Jer. How you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good. I got holidays to use at work before the end of our fiscal year at the end of the month, so I'm taking tomorrow off again. So it's a good day. It's the weekend now.
All right. We like it. I guess we'll jump right into it and check out the bets. I called you an idiot because you're wearing an Indiana jersey, and Indiana, ooh, man, am I unhappy about the picks today. Ooh. So, just to give a brief little overview, Tyrese Maxey and the 76ers decided to do absolutely nothing in that game, so we love that for them. Minnesota Wild bet was beautiful for you. That over was just some absolute fugazi, so that was a quick check, and the Blue Jackets was great for you as well. Like, these 76ers didn't even score 100 and it still checked off because that over was so low, which is just unreal. But Michigan,
that thing went from 222 and a half at open to it closed at 235 and a half.
yeah, it was so unreal, man.
So like basically anyone that would have woke up this morning, that number was gone, unfortunately.
Yeah, but
sometimes you get rewarded for betting overnight. Sometimes you don't.
Yeah, well, speaking of what I didn't get rewarded, Michigan up 17 at halftime, and then lost by 5. So we love that. And then Texas up 20, the largest margin of victory ever, choked in the Big 12 tournament, and they lost by 5 to TCU. So, yeah, I had a great day at bets anyway. So we'll just ignore that, and we'll let Jer walk us through the wonderful NHL slate. Though it is only 4 games compared to what we had the crazy amount yesterday. So yeah, it's all right. But anyway, you can walk us through and tell us what we're supposed to be looking for here.
Yeah, so there's a lot, or just 4 games, as Joe said, and a lot of these teams are actually on back-to-backs. I think at least 4 or 5 of them are. So that always makes matchups interesting. The first game I'm gonna talk about is actually the Vegas and Pittsburgh game, which I find pretty interesting.
Vegas.
And then Minnesota and Columbus are 2 of the best teams to the over, so that's gonna be an interesting matchup. Winnipeg and New York is kind of a snooze fest, but it's a good line to bet on, so I guess it's an okay game. And then Washington and Vancouver should be pretty good. It's minus 110 on both sides.
Yeah, we like that. NBA, a decent slate of games compared to the absolute trash that was yesterday. Now, there weren't a full set of lines when we recorded this podcast. I was looking into some definite beautiful unders in this Heat Cavs game just because, Miami Heat locks down a little bit. But there's still some good games. I mean, you got Jared's Raptors going against the Suns. Could be a good one out there, even though Phoenix is favored by 6. Celtics and Pistons are playing again, which can be a snooze fest. Knicks and Grizzlies are going to be fun. I was excited about this Hornets and Pelicans game until I found out that CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram aren't going to be playing in that one. So
better get excited because we're talking about it.
I was more excited about it when I could bet on CJ's over against the Hornets. I'm less excited now that I can't do that because I like that bet. But, it is what it is. And then we get to watch the Lake Show with LeBron probably on a few glasses of wine and trying to beat Kuzma and Porzingis and the Wizards out there. So we'll see how that one ends up going. And probably a Luka triple-double against the Rockets. You never know. College basketball is going to be an interesting one. We still have some games that are TBD because, those West Coast games just take way too long to finish, man. Oh, my Lord. But anyway, actually had a pretty good fight yesterday for my Syracuse Oranges. So, we love that. But it's actually a good slate of games tomorrow. I mean, we're getting to that tournament time. There's going to be so many games. If you're a college basketball fan, just get out there and watch some games, man. If you're somebody who needs to make a bracket over the weekend pretty soon and need to learn about some college games, is also a great time to maybe, take a peek, hint, at some of the games and people that you'll be seeing. But yeah, it's a lot of good games, especially this LSU Arkansas one. Highly recommend checking this one out. Just gonna be a good game. But yeah, just check them out and just have some fun. So yeah, without further ado, I guess because I have 3 picks I'll be pitching today, I guess I can hop it off into the first one, since Jerry's he's slacking off today, only doing 2. But it's okay. It's okay. We'll let him go with it.
I got 2 winners though.
Oh, 2. You know what? That after my performance today, I'll have to go with you on that. So the bet that I'm going to be taking here is one that Jared loves when I do this. I'm going to the star player, and I'm picking points, rebounds, and assists. Mm-hmm. We love it, man. Just back to all reliable. We had a bad day, so I have to go back to where I feel safe and I'm not scared in the corner. We're going Jason Tatum over on his points, rebounds, and assists, because at 40.5, and I mean, this guy can absolutely tear through that. He hit it the last 8 of his last 10 games. And partly because he had 44 and 54 in his last 2 games and covered the line by himself. But the 2 games before that, he had 37, 5 and 6, 33, 7 and 8. So really, Tatum's just honestly been on a tear. Now, Detroit is 23rd in points allowed and 23rd in assists allowed, as well as being 24th in rebounds allowed. So really, this is a matchup that's pretty set for Tatum to just take over. But he actually has only covered it once out of the 3 games against Detroit. So this may be a bit of an iffy pick for me snagging it. But I looked at the 2 games. One was just a terrible performance by Tatum when he just didn't really care to be playing against Detroit. And the other 2, Jaylen Brown just kind of took over and just had a good game against them. So, it is what it is. Now, Tatum in his last 10 games, he's averaging 34 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists, which is enough to get us over this. And with Detroit allowing the highest 3-point percentage and 3rd highest field goal percentage out of every single team to opponents, Tatum's probably going to have a pretty good game out here. The only problem that I really see with a lot of these games, and with Celtics bets in general, is just if they're going to tune in and actually try on these games. That's really the only problem with the Boston Celtics. They just never really decided to tune it in after the All-Star break. But luckily for us, it's after the All-Star break. So I'm just looking for Tatum to continue this hot streak of just, dropping a good 30 and get me a nice, 6 and 5 on the rebounds and assists, especially with the starting center for Detroit, Isaiah Stewart, out. I think there's definitely some more boards for Tatum to just get out there. So yeah, it's easy, simple, my typical bets.
Yeah, I actually like this one though. I don't think you can quote me on this.
Yeah.
But cause I was watching the Boston Celtics last game against the Hornets because I bet on it.
Yeah.
And I believe the commentators were talking about some form of a stat about most points over a certain stretch of games, and it might have been like a 5-game stretch. And they were talking about him closing in on this Celtics record. So yeah. I don't know if that could be a motivating factor tonight. Don't quote me on this. But like the dude, either way, the dude is a different type of locked in right now. He was just making stupid shots last night and the night before, for a matter of fact.
Oh, I was looking at it. Tatum right now through his last 4 games has 168 points, which is unreal. He's averaging 42 a game in his last 4. So that's just enough to pass this by himself. Now, I'm not going to bet on the fact that Tatum's going to drop 40 because it just makes his line way too easy. But I do think with how he's been shooting, a good 30-point game out of him is probably pretty likely. So,
I mean, over his last 2 games, he's hit 8 of 15 threes. And then in his last game against Charlotte, he hit 6 of 9.
Yeah. He's
that's like, I don't know, a cool 60% from 3 in his last 2 games.
Yeah, he's shooting it pretty well
on 10 attempts per game. Like, that's not bad for a 2-game run. He's on a tear.
Yeah. So I mean, that's why I did it. I think Tatum. I'm just trying to ride on a hot streak that Tatum's having right now, and I think given
I think it's just starting too. I think it's just starting too because he just came off a real cold run.
Which is why I was surprised. Given his last 2 performances, I thought this was going to be higher than what it was. So I was actually going to it to pick the under. And then when I saw that it was only like 40.5, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll take that. But I thought it was going to be one of those Luka under 50.5. I was ready to get a little under on it, but I'll take this one at 40.5. It looks pretty nice.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
What do you got for us, huh?
I'm still trying to decide what I want to pitch first. Should I go NBA first or NHL first?
Well, I'll be in the NBA for all 3 of my picks, so If you want to just get the
Okay, let's
NHL
get
one out or the
let's get the NHL one out. So tonight it's the battle of the black and gold. The Pittsburgh Penguins are at home tonight taking on the Vegas
oh,
Golden
you're
Knights.
treating me to a wonderful one.
Now the Knights are coming off a back-to-back against Buffalo where they lost 2-1, and Buffalo is horrendous.
Oh,
Both these teams have been struggling offensive recently. The Penguins are only scoring 2.80 goals per game over their last 10, and the Golden Knights are only scoring 2.30 goals over their last 10. And the slump for the Knights has gotten worse recently. They've only scored 4 goals in their last 3 games combined, and the games have gone under in 3 straight. And the total's set in this at 6 in this game, and my immediate thought was towards the under here. However, the last time these teams played, the Penguins won the game 5-3, and the total went over by 3. Or 2. Sorry. And in this game, Vegas, Vegas raced out to a 3-0 lead and then gave up 5 straight unanswered goals to the Penguins in the second and third period. And coming off a game like that, I think both teams will try and tighten up defensively. Because the Knights won't want to get embarrassed like that again, and the Penguins won't want to have to climb out of that hole again. Tonight we should probably see Robin Lehner between the pipes for Vegas. In his last 2 starts, he's only allowed 2 goals in each game, so he's had good starts. And both of those games went under, but we don't really know because he is actually injured right now, and we don't know the status if he's gonna play or if he's not. And if he's not going to play, I like this even more. And as I said, my initial lean was towards the under, but with the uncertainty of Lehner's injury, I think I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Penguins money line. In a game that I think is going to be played tighter defensively, I lean towards the Penguins, who rank 4th in goals allowed, and we'll likely see Tristan Jarry in net for the Penguins, who is having a career year himself. He's 27, 12, and 6. In games he's started, and is tied for the 3rd most shutouts in the NHL against a struggling Vegas offense. I like the Penguins tonight at -135.
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. How do you score 4 goals in 3 games? That's tough.
Struggling.
That's tough. So you said both of these teams are struggling, which would make me a little nervous of it, but I mean somebody's got to win it.
The Penguins are struggling to score slightly, but they're like they don't give up many goals, so they're still winning games. I didn't really talk about how much they're playing the Penguins are 5-5 over their last 10 games.
Mm-hmm.
And have lost 2 games straight. So it might be a bounce back spot here. I didn't really talk too much about how they perform because I just think the Penguins are kind of a better matchup a little better. Both these teams shoot the puck a ton, which just results in a lot of dead pucks and whistles and whatever. And Vegas actually allows the 25th most goals to opposing centers. And obviously you don't know who they are, but you should know Sidney Crosby.
Familiar, yes.
Yeah, who plays center and scores a ton of goals. And then Evgeny Malkin, who's been playing with Crosby for years, one of the best scorers ever too. So I just like the Penguins in this matchup to I got worried about the total with the Vegas goaltending situation because if Leonard's not in, we could see another Islanders game where the Penguins cover the total by themselves. And I just really think the Penguins win this one. I know that it's a little bit of juice to pay at -130, and I think it's already climbing. I don't know. I jumped on this line early because I thought it was a little weird.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll give it to you. I'll let you have it. Ooh, we got a Coke there. Look at him matching in all red. Coke, Indiana, and a backwards red hat that we can't see who it is, but we'll
Houston Rockets. That's why it's turned back.
Houston Rockets, one of the worst teams in the league. We love it. Anyway, but they did beat the Lakers, so LeBron had too many glasses of wine that night. Anyway, we'll be taking it back to the NBA.
Seeing 3 rims in that game.
We take it back to the NBA. We'll be going to the Hawks on this one, and I will be avoiding the star player. I know, surprise, surprise. We're going to be going to somebody that maybe, I don't know, I would overlook a little bit, but he's been on a tear recently, and that's DeAndre Hunter, and I'm looking at his over on points, which is currently set at 12.5. Now, Hunter isn't normally a guy who I would look at too much, but he's actually been slipped into that starting role, and he's been hooping at it. So I do like him in here. So at 12.5, this is a line that he's hit in about 60% of his last 20 games, and has hit it 7 out of his last 10, including 4 of his last 5. It's basically a mirror for his points and assists as well, if anybody's interested in doing just that one. He's basically just been playing more minutes and has been looking better in those minutes. John Collins is coming back into the lineup, which to some would be a bit concerning, but Hunter actually averages 14 points per game when John Collins in the lineup. The duo of Trey and John Collins takes a lot of attention, and it just ends up leaving DeAndre Hunter wide open, which is always going to be pretty nice. Now, both of these teams play a very average kind of pace, so it could be one of those ones where it could go faster, it could go slower, but I mean, either way, with how DeAndre Hunter has been playing, I mean, 7 of 11 his last game against the Milwaukee Bucks. He was 8 of 12 against Washington, 7 of 13 against Chicago, 4 of 10 of Detroit, but still covered this. I just think the way that he's been shooting, how aggressive he's been, and making sure that he's getting, above his, 10 to 12 shots out there in this starting lineup has just been nice. And with the fact that Kevin Huerter has really been struggling, DeAndre Hunter has kind of been moved to that like third-ish option for this Hawks team. And I think that he can definitely just keep this going and just shoot it out. Because he's actually in his last 5 games averaging 16 points per game, which is definitely higher than the 12.5 that this is currently at. And is averaging 14 in his last 10. So aside from the occasional bad game, he's essentially always at, 10 to 12 points anyway. And I'm just betting on the fact that DeAndre Hunter comes out here with that extra attention that maybe John Collins is going to be drawing, and just gets a few more easy buckets, maybe in transition or something like that, against a team in the Clippers that is a decent defensively, but obviously a little bit weak. And, you never know. I just like DeAndre Hunter out here. The performance that he's had recently just makes this 12.5 look pretty juicy, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're just betting the points, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I got myself confused here looking at this website. I got looking at all the charts, and all the charts are 7 out of 10. I mean, by the looks of it, pick any prop you want on this guy that doesn't really involve assists, points and rebounds, points, whatever, points, rebounds, assists, whatever you want. Bet it.
Yeah, I mean, 18, 26, 15, 17 is the last 4 games for him.
Like I like the points. 18, 26, 15, 17.
Yeah, it's easy. He either hits it easily or doesn't.
And the two games he didn't hit it were against Boston. Another one was Chicago. So. And
the Chicago one, I think he actually got injured or had to sit out for something. He's only played 13 minutes. So I wasn't even really counting that one when I was looking at it, because it's just freak accident. It happens.
Yeah. All right. I like that.
We get our dubs. All right. What do we got for the NBA bet here?
Well, I already said it earlier. We're going to talk about the Charlotte Hornets at the New Orleans Pelicans.
Oh.
The Hornets are favored by -1.5 points here. Because as Joe said, the Pelicans will be out without CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram. These are the 2 players that really fueled this recent run that have made the Pelicans somewhat interesting to watch. The Hornets have been struggling recently, but most of those struggles have come at home. On the road, over their last 10 games, they're 7-2-1 against the spread. And tonight, the New Orleans Pelicans will be led by Jonas Valanciunas, who's scoring 17.8 points per game this season. These 2 teams have not played yet this season, but they're 2 polar opposites. The New Orleans Pelicans rank 22nd in pace, and that will only get slower without their 2 best scorers, whereas the Hornets rank 3rd in pace and are tied for 5th in 3-point percentage. The Hornets can put up points, and they can do it in a hurry. The Pelicans allow their opponents to take the 12th most 3-pointers per game, and that's the game the Hornets love to play. With the Pelicans missing their 2 best shooters, I think they're really gonna struggle here to keep up with the Hornets. I love me some JV being the Raptors guy and all, but that back to the basket post game won't cut it against the Hornets. If the Pelicans want to win this game, they're going to need to find some depth scoring from either Devontae Graham or like a Herbert Jones type of guy that we talked about earlier. And I'm not really confident that that's going to happen. On the year, Graham is shooting 36.7% from the floor and only 35% from three. And that's a worse field goal percentage than Russell Westbrook, just to throw some Westbrook slander in the podcast. I think the Hornets are a team that feeds on weaker competition at times. I would have loved to see this matchup with McCollum and Ingram. This thing would have been fast-paced and high-scoring. I don't mind that they're out, though, because I really like the Hornets at -1.5 here. I love the way LaMelo Ball's been playing recently. He's covered his point total in 6 of his last 7 games. And he's coming off a real stinker where he got benched for a lengthy period in that game. And I think he'll come out in attack mode tonight. And as you all know from previous episodes of this podcast, I love me some Miles Bridges. So I'm going to take the Hornets here at -1.5.
Yeah, it's already -2.5 for the Hornets. So people are realizing how crazy it is that the Hornets are only barely favored in a game without the Pelicans' 2 best players. So check it as soon as you can, because this could be getting out of hand. I think it's crazy that it's -1.5. I mean, we kind of talked about this one a bit ahead of time, but yeah, I don't see a way in which the Pelicans can really get it going that consistent. Like you said, Devontae Graham he's really been bad this season. Yeah. When you're getting compared to Westbrook efficiency, I think it's time to, sit back, reevaluate. Maybe
he still shoots far better from 3 than Westbrook. I'll give him that, but
it's not really
if you're near Westbrook shooting threes, we won't even go there.
Yeah, we'll maybe take a few LeBron glasses of wine and move on. Anyway, the last one.
Cheers, LeBron.
Anyway, this last one is one that I don't know if Jared can speak on too much, because he's gonna have a little bit of bias in this one, because we're gonna be taking it to the Raptors and the Suns, to possibly one of his favorite players out here. He's got the flag ready. There it is. He's got the flag ready, and I think I'm gonna take a hot take here, and I think this may be his favorite player, or if not his second favorite player on the team. We're gonna be talking about Scottie Barnes.
Ooh,
yeah, Scottie Barnes.
A little bias.
Scottie Barnes has been on a absolute tear, and I honestly think you could pick over on anything for Scottie Barnes, and I would think it's a pretty damn good bet, just because Scottie's been going crazy. Now, the reason I love this is Scottie is playing without OG Anunoby, so he's been getting some big time minutes. Literally has not played a game below 32 aside from one against New Orleans where they got absolutely horked on, so we got to kind of ignore that. But what I'm looking at here is his rebounds and assists. These can be pretty finicky, which is a little bit tough, but he's hit this over 70% of his 57 games this season. And individually, for his assists, he's hit that over on 59%, and he's hit the over on his rebounds for about 50% through those 57 games. Now, Phoenix does is first in allowed assists, so they really do not give them up, but they are 18th in rebounds allowed, which is kind of surprising to me, given they have JaVale and DeAndre Ayton out there, but you know what? I don't judge. Now, Scottie, I think, can hit this sometimes alone just on rebounds. He averages 7.6, but has had in his last 5, 12, 10, 10, 8, and 5. So Scottie can easily pass the above 9.5 just on those alone. But with a nice ball movement kind of team like the Raptors have, he's obviously guaranteed to at least get a few assists out there to capitalize on that. If he gets around his, average 7.6, 3.3, that's right above it. And I just think it's looking pretty damn good for Scottie Barnes, considering he's had over 7.5 rebounds in 4 of his last 5 and over 2.5 assists in 3 of his last 5. And he's hit the rebound and assists over in his 3 of his last 5. So overall, I think Scottie picking up those few extra minutes, just going to let him get a few extra assists, few extra rebounds, just playing that great team ball. And honestly, I also kind of like his over on points in this as well. Just all around, just pick something on Scottie and you'll be good.
Did you see if Fred VanVleet is back or not?
He was back last game against the Spurs. So
okay, I didn't watch that game, but okay. Yeah, I actually like this play.
Which is surprising.
I think I like the points, rebounds, and assists more, maybe, but
there is that.
I'm gonna use my favorite Skip Bayless line.
Uh-huh.
I'm a unbiased Cowboys Cowboys fan. So we're gonna talk about the Raptors unbiasedly here for a minute.
Okay, let's see if you can do it.
So with Freddie out and Malachi Flynn out, the Raptors and really after Freddie, they don't have a ton of playmakers.
Yeah.
They don't have guys to handle the ball. So in that absence with that absence of Malachi Flynn, because he's another one that can kind of do it, Gary Trent Jr. really isn't that guy.
Nah, he just shoots.
So Scotty Barnes was actually playing point guard in the last couple games. And I think that's why we saw him with so many assists. Because in that last game with Freddie back, he had one.
Yeah, he did have one.
He had one assist. So, but I love the way Scotty fits into the Raptors offense. Especially without OG Anunoby. I think they work great together, but I just think like when they're there, they kind of take each other's shots because they do similar things.
Yeah.
And without OG there, like he just plays that drive to the rim dunker's role so well, and he can hit a couple threes every once in a while. He's not great at shooting them. But I honestly think with Fred VanVleet back, I would either just go straight points, rebounds, or even just points, rebounds, and assists.
Anything on Scotty honestly looks pretty juicy with
unbiased Raptors fan, hats off. Bet anything you fucking want on Scotty. It's going over.
We almost had a clean episode. we almost had a clean episode.
You can bleep it out.
Ruined it right at the end. All right. So
bleep it out.
Those are our bets. But if you guys remember, it's Friday. So we have Fridays with Fran coming out. I guess we'll leave it on the 2 screen right here. And we'll throw her on the big screen. Look at that. There she is right next to me. This is crazy. Look at this. So we have Fran's Friday pick. Look at that. We can go juicy with it. So I guess I'll give her the single cam. She can pitch her pick for Friday for us today.
Thank you. I appreciate the single cam. So I'm going to be talking about the same game, just the opposite team, which I know Jared's not going to love, but...
So you should see the live reaction. Well, let's tune to it real quick.
I'm going to be taking Devin Booker's over for points and assists at 30.5. So he's going to be playing the game without CP3, and the 4 games this season that he has played without CP3, he's hit this over. He's also hit it in his last 8 out of 10 games, and he's hit it a couple times with points alone. He had a couple, one was 35 points and one was 38 points. And he also had a couple come close that were at 30. So I think it looks pretty good. Toronto's defense is like barely in the top half for ranking against shooting guards, so not amazing, but not terrible. And I think that even if they limit him in points and he doesn't get to the high 20s that he's been averaging, he'll still make it up in assists with CP3 being out of the game. So that is why I am taking the over on this one.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, we talked about it a bit before. I like it. I think you got to pick a campaign over or a Booker over when it comes to CP3 being out, as much as Jared may hate it. Booker's probably going to cook a little bit, you know. He's probably going to have himself a game. That's how it is.
I want to be mad at it, but I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing I will say about it, though, is he did the last game, the only game against Toronto this season. When was it? It was January 11th, so it was a couple months ago, but he had 19 points and assists in that game.
Yeah. And that was with a Chris Paul. It was just that was a game where it was just all even, and they just played the pace stupid slow. OGO though, look at him, he's cooking in that game, having himself a time. But
yeah, and that could be a difference maker. OG would be a great defender on Booker.
Yeah, I think without OG, like Scotty's an okay defender, but he's not any OG.
I don't. Yeah, Scotty, I just don't think he has the experience yet to stop a guy like Booker.
Yeah, so I think Booker
doesn't have those tricks in the bag yet on defense.
Yeah, I think he's gonna. I think I like this one. Just if you look at it, yeah, he's been hooping since CP3's been out. The only issue, although I don't really think it's gonna be one, is campaign stealing all the assists. But I think with Booker back in the lineup, his usage is gonna shoot right back up to near like 35-40%. and it shouldn't be a problem. I feel like as close to guarantees can be, it's probably one of them. So, look at that. She gets her dubs again.
Yeah, I'll give it to her, I guess.
Thanks.
All right, so we're going to make our daily pick screen, just give you guys a quick little recap, and then we can head out with that. All right, so here are today's picks. Jason Tatum's over on 40.5 points, rebounds, and assists, -122. The Penguins, stupidly, versus the Golden Knights at -135. The Hornets cover their spread versus the Pelicans at -110, which is currently at 1.5, although it is constantly changing. DeAndre Hunter's over 12.5 points at -116. Scotty Barnes over on honestly anything. I have rebounds and assists, but points, rebounds, and assists looking just as juicy. And the Fridays with Fran pick, Devin Booker over 30.5 points and assists at a -122. Now, I've been trying to jinx our picks, but I will say I like it. This is probably one of the best sets of bets we've had in a little while.
Shut your mouth.
I think
Shut your mouth.
Or at least, you know what? Here's what I'll do. I think Jared's bets are just really, really good and almost no way that they fail. So I'm fully expecting him to be a nice 2-0 night. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, there you go, folks. 0-2.
Anyway, if you guys are watching on any of the podcast platforms, make sure you guys leave us that wonderful 5-star review for how beautiful Jared is on a mic. And if you're watching on any YouTube or anything like that, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and comment what you guys think of the most recent episode. Go out there, make some bets, and make some money.
See ya!